Hello and welcome to The Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynne Testoni. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business. So what we have learned since doing this podcast is that successful freelancers have a business mindset and need to manage their finances. It sounds boring, but it's actually true, isn't it?
Actually not that boring. Like if you're with the right program, that is.
True. And the trouble with most financial software is that it's built for larger businesses, not sole trader businesses like us. So you often end up paying for lots of unnecessary features you never use, such as payroll. But our sponsor Rounded has software designed for freelancers, and it's super easy.
So easy and actually not boring. It actually becomes quite fun to reconcile.
The gamification, as you say.
Yeah, for sure. So good. Well, Rounded is really an all-in-one tool, and as part of the sponsorship, we've organised a saving of another 20% on any annual subscription. If you're a gold member of Rachel's List, that can really save you a chunk of change every year.
Absolutely. So good. Hi, Rach. Before we start chatting with our guest, I wanted to give another push and another shout out to the Content Bite Summit because tickets are selling fast.
Yes, we have seen a bit of a flurry of sales this week, which is really great to see. I want to apologise for my nasally sound. I've got a cold. We will push on anyway.
We will push on because we're professionals.
That's right.
And we have such a great guest on the podcast this week, and she's a great writer. She's a journalist and a editor, Virginia Jen. Now, VJ and I have worked together for a few years on and off, and it's been so wonderful to follow her career. She goes from strength to strength. And she's recently moved from some prestige glossy magazines, Vogue Living, to a prestige digital publication. Although I think they do print too. She's going to talk about that. And it's called The Local Project. And I get that every day. It's fantastic.
Yep.
And I'd love to hear about the transition and what she's learned along the way. Are you happy to introduce Virginia?
Yes. Here's a little bit about Virginia. With her innately inquisitive nature, Virginia Jen has always had a passion for storytelling and connection. Currently the editor of The Local Project, Virginia Jen started her career as an intern fact-checking captions at Home Beautiful, which we were just talking about at length. She has since worked as a sub-editor and writer across many interior and lifestyle mastheads, including InsideOut, Country Style, Gourmet Traveller, GQ and Vogue. Wow, that's a good list. She was the deputy editor of Vogue Living before taking up the editor role at The Local Project last year. Welcome, Virginia. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. How excited to be with you both.
Isn't it interesting? We were just talking about how our paths have all crossed in different ways.
Oh, it's a small industry sometimes.
It's such a small industry.
We talked a bit off air about your career to date, and it'd be great to tell us a bit about that journey and some of the highlights.
I guess I'll start at the start. We were just touching upon how I have a rather similar story to one Vanessa Keys, who you had on not so long ago, who's a dear friend of mine. I've always loved magazines. I was that total kid that would literally go to a newsagent on the day of publication and buy every single one of them and be popular for about an hour with every single student at school because I'd bought the latest Girlfriend or Dolly, Cosmo, Smash Hits when that was around.
Oh, yes.
So I've always been enamored with magazines, and I was at uni. I was doing an honours year, and that year I decided, oh, look, I need some real life experience. So I took on some work experience. I did a week of work experience at Home Beautiful. My first ever editor happens to be Lynne's sister, Wendy.
Small punting.
This is why the pond is so small. And she was very lucky to have worked with amazing people during that time there. And at the end of that week, I really enjoyed it. And I thought, oh, look, you just got to take some initiative And I sent an email to the then deputy editor, Lisa Thomas, who we all also know, and asked if I could come in every Friday just to help out with anything. And it literally was cleaning, styling cupboards and calling up shops about the prices of vases. There was a lovely thing that we did called Style Hunter. I don't know if you remember, Lynn.
Oh, yes, yes. I think I did a few of those. I wrote a few of those.
Yes, it was a massive shopping guide, and this is before the age of
Mm.
Google, really. And so we were calling every single shop and asking about trading hours and what labels they stocked. And I think there was actually one day where I was with Lynn and your lovely mum, Elaine,
Oh,
fact
yeah.
checking these things. And I thought to myself, oh my God, like my boss's sister and my boss's mum are doing the same thing I'm doing. And I thought, you know what, this is for me.
Lucky we
So-
didn't scare you off.
No,
Gosh.
I know. I think at some point someone was going to be like, oh my God, this girl is insane. How can she possibly be enjoying this so much? And I
Yes.
genuinely did. I'm a stickler for getting things right, and I hate when things go wrong. So, and I've always been that way. I've always had this eagle eye for detail. So, sub-editing is essentially where I started my career, and it really like led to the best foundation, really. We were talking about earlier how my next job after Home Beautiful, so I did get a job at Home Beautiful. I ended up being the junior sub after those Fridays. And I was there, worked up into a sub-editor level, and I was there for nearly 5 years before I went to Inside Out and became chief sub there. But it laid the groundwork for really getting everything right and really appreciating details and storytelling in that aspect. But yeah, that's how it started. And then, yeah, highlights. Inside Out's a great one. Claire Bradley, who we also all know, was my editor. And Lynne actually did a maternity cover while I was there as well. So we met again. The great part of Inside Out was Claire really valued building a team. And it was such a lovely team to work on. The same with Home Beautiful. I've been really, really lucky that I've worked with great teams across my career, actually. But Inside Out, particularly, I think maybe that point of my life, I was in my early to mid 20s and really enjoying having kind of got to a point where I was really comfortable with what I was doing and learning every day. And learning with some great people alongside me. I call Claire Patience was my first ever chief sub. She was the deputy editor at Inside Out when I went. I've always called her my career guardian angel.
Yes.
Yeah, those two big jobs really set the foundation for my career and it led to some real highlights. Freelancing was another, was unexpected. I remember telling people that I was going to freelance. I had so many people go, but you're such a stickler for sticking around. My first two jobs I'd been at for nearly 5 years each. So taking the leap to freelancing was nerve-wracking, but it actually meant it was the best way to really be confident in my own skills because it meant that I actually could go across and work across multiple things and not just be in the interiors and design realm.
You did a lot of stuff with Gourmet, didn't you?
Yeah. I subbed 2 restaurant guides. So national restaurant guides. And the first one I did, I think there were 400 restaurants in
my
it.
goodness.
So it was properly nationwide before, unfortunately, budgets got slashed and all that, and it became a little bit of a smaller, more curated thing. I got to work with Pat Nurse, who's now the creative director of Melbourne Food and Wine Festival, and that was an incredible thing to do.
He's very inspiring. I love his work. His work is beautiful. Such a great writer.
He's incredible and he's a brilliant writer. And we had a lot of good times. That was a contract gig that was great because it was good 3 months out of the year. And I got really lucky with freelancing because it's essentially how it led to my job at Vogue Living, because I was there for, I would say, about half the year was booked up with Vogue Living. And it meant that having these kind of big chunks would allow me to then to do littler things. So like every now and again, if GQ needed some help, I was lucky enough to be at GQ during the last year of it being a proper print magazine.
Yeah.
So classy thing. And Lynne will attest to this. I'm a bit of a sports nut. And with the first job I had to sub, I remember Chris, lovely Chris, who's now the editor of Esquire. He'd come up to me and he knew nothing about me, bless him, and was like, so this is a story about the AFL. This is the captain of the Sydney Swans, Kieran Jack. And I was like, you're okay. Cried at the 96 grand final. We're good. You don't need to do this. It was really nice to actually work on things that I myself am interested in. And I hadn't been able to do that in my professional capacity, other than just doing interiors and style, which I love and always will, and clearly still do. But it was incredible just to be able to do that. And again, Lynne, because she's been in my life for a very long time, will know this too. My parents owned a restaurant for 15 years. So actually working on Gourmet Traveller and working on a restaurant guide was an incredible thing, because it did make me just go, this is stuff I love and this is stuff that I really value, and being a part
And you know a lot about it too, about the restaurant business, even if you didn't work in it. You know, you've lived it.
It's pretty funny. Like my dad would never profess to being a chef, and my mum would never refer to herself as front of house. But I do know the, innate ins and outs of running a business, how valuable good service is, value, setting an atmosphere. And it did hold me in good stead when it was reading reviews where you're supposed to try and sum up the reason a restaurant exists in 180 words. Trying to make sure, and that's something that Pat is brilliant at. I don't know how any of them do. I've got really good friends who still are food reviewers, and I have no idea, restaurant reviewers, sorry. I don't have any idea how they do it. And, and that comes from even being a sub and knowing how to write concisely. So it is a very fine-tuned skill. That freelancing was amazing in that respect, and it really did build my confidence to kind of go into different roles and different magazines and different titles and be able to go, hey, I've done this before and I really want to be a part of this. It's probably the one thing I would say that I miss about freelancing, is being able to have that variety and then have projects that can work on, and then just kind of close the door and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
It's really the one thing I miss. Maybe the holiday part, but I never really took holidays either. I'm such a workaholic. And then, Vogue Living, I guess, highlight. Well, absolute career highlight. If you'd asked me, that girl lining up at the newsagent buying smash hits, if she would ever think she'd be the deputy editor of Vogue Living, she would have laughed in your face. It was an incredible time. I was really lucky. I was there for 5 years altogether, freelancing. I was there for just under 2 as deputy editor. And in the time that I was there, doors open when you're at a Vogue title, and the level of access that you get to things.
Such a powerful brand, isn't it?
It's still such a powerful brand. I was lucky enough to go to Salone a couple of years ago. My first 2 interviews were Nina Yashar and Patricia Urquiola.
Design royalty.
Absolute design royalty. And to have Patricia Urquiola hold your hands, look at your nails and go, you know everything. I have no idea what she meant by that. I'm glad she thought I knew everything. And I think we were allotted 20 minutes and we spoke for an hour.
Oh, wow.
It's probably one of the most amazing experiences I got. And then the next day I got to interview Philippe Stark, and he drew me a sketch of his lamp.
Wow.
I need to frame it. It's sitting somewhere. I just don't know what frame to put it in. And a part of me is like, I don't think Philippe will approve of this frame. Therefore, it's currently just wedged between some magazines. But no, there are things like that you kind of go, they're not even career highlights, they're life highlights. And I feel very, very lucky to have been able to do that.
Wow.
It sounds like you have a lot of loves, like apart from, sport, I wouldn't have picked it, but so sport is a love for you, food writing, that sort of thing. But you keep coming back to interiors and design because the local project is, that same niche. What draws you back, do you think?
I think it's funny. I was thinking about this because I think I don't want to draw gender lines here, but I feel like every kind of female writer, when you're starting up, you want to be at a Vogue, you want to be a Marie Claire or Elle, or one of those prestige kind of lifestyle titles. And that's what I thought I would end up doing. And I really fell into interiors, and I have Wendy and Hope Beautiful to thank for that. And I guess this will come back to why I'm at the local project too, but architecture and design are things that we all have access to.
Yeah.
It's something as simple as like walking down a street. It's going into your local cafe. It's, dressing up your bedroom a certain way. It's the frame you choose to put your Philippe Stark sketch in. Like, it's that kind of level of stuff and I think that is innately incredibly interesting. And there are just so many aspects to it. And I mean, I think Australia really packs a punch in terms of the global design market. We have such an incredible creative talent here. And it's the thrill of my life to be able to talk to people who really love what they do and have a really different perspective and add to that conversation. It's essentially why I love going to Melbourne. Melbourne has a real kind of innate quality and connection, and that community is so tight. And everyone celebrates everyone's wins, which is incredible. I think to link it back to, I guess, to why I'm at the local project now too, is that the local project is 3 publications. When it is in a publication form, comes out 3 times a year. We have the big baby, which is the local project, which is all your amazing homes. And then you've got the commercial project, which are retail spaces, workplaces, public spaces, education, wellness spaces, hospitality, looking at that public-facing architecture. And then you've got the local marketplace, which is a comprehensive guide to beautiful products, and also highlights amazing makers and profiles them. Big draw card of me coming to the local project is that this feels like a real holistic way of telling the tale of architecture and design and the people behind it. I was really frank with Aidan, our founder and CEO, in one of my interviews, and just said, I love what you do. I respect the hell out of what you do. And it's incredible. It's only been around for 8 years and he's built this incredible business and the people are amazing. We'll probably get into that later. But the one thing I said to him that I felt like we were missing were people, and really that storytelling part. And that has innately been the thing that I link to throughout my career, whether you're a chef putting together a meal, presenting it, whether you're a sommelier, whether you're a designer making a lamp, whether you're an architect, whether you're an interior designer, whether you're a stylist, all of you bring something together to create this whole. And I feel like the local project actually does an incredible job of being able to celebrate all that.
Amazing.
I know it's a lovely life because it's full of beautiful things, but I know there's some challenges, maybe because I've worked in that space, because I follow you on Instagram, Virginia. And I know you seem to be traveling a lot, and there must be so many industry functions. How do you fit in like a normal life?
I don't. To be completely frank, look, I think as I've gotten older, I actually go to less events than I ever have now than I did at the start. I think last year was a lot in terms of traveling. I think I went to Melbourne 6 times and all of them were work related. I'm very lucky to be able to travel for my job to a degree also. Like I never take that for granted, and I'm usually a bit cheeky and I will try and tack on an extra couple of days at the end for myself just because, you know, you're there. And I love traveling and I do love being in a new place. I mean, one of the crazier trips I've done is 3 days in Berlin. Would happily do it again.
Amazing city.
It's an amazing city, amazing city. So I've been very lucky that I've had these incredible opportunities. In terms of how you fit a normal life in there, I think you actually have to draw boundaries, and I'm still learning to do that. Like I said, I'm a self-professed workaholic, so my life is kind of built that way. But there are things that I have like anchor points to come back to. A colleague got in touch saying, oh, we've got this event on Wednesday. Would you like to come? And I said, you know what? Actually, Wednesday nights are sacred to me. I go home and see my family and I have a family meal with them every Wednesday. So I think it is things like that where you just go, actually, these are things that I value and I can't commit to more than this. During my working day, everyone has a piece of me. You should see me I mean, right now I'm working from home. You should see me in the office. I think I get asked a question every 5 minutes. And I love that. I love that I've reached that part of my career where I really want to mentor people and help people progress in their careers. And I've been the beneficiary of that. And I like to pay it forward. So I feel like my role at the local project is very much that nowadays. But yeah, normal life. I don't think I've ever lived one. I think it's, you know, work-life balance as much as like, you know, people talk about it. For me, I've never found it. I'm just very lucky that I love what I do. And it naturally does eke into my life. So, you know, even things like going to Melbourne, I will still end up hanging out with the people that I will see from work because I genuinely connect with them. And they become friends, and yeah, there are things like that I just can't part with. So I'm very lucky, regardless of whether or not my life is normal. I do eat out a lot. I do acknowledge that. It's because, ironically enough, despite having parents who owned a restaurant, I'm a terrible cook. And I would much rather be in a lovely dining room with a friend having a lovely meal than eating a terrible stir fry that I've made myself.
Fair enough.
There was actually a really funny article that came out yesterday where it was in The Guardian, where they interviewed restaurant critics. How do they, something about, how they
They
survive
stay healthy, yeah.
Yeah. It was so
It is brutal. I was just reading the New York Times. Their restaurant critic, Pete Wells, has just resigned after 13 years of doing it. And he very much in his own kind of self-reflection has mentioned colleagues who have passed rather young, not necessarily due to, but there are some connections with what they do. I have a couple of friends who do it, and I genuinely don't know how. I am very lucky that I have survived some major dining adventures with these people and have never been closer to wanting to be on a juice cleanse in my life.
Yes.
I don't know, it's like anything. I think like I said, I'm very lucky and privileged to do what I do, but there are challenges with everything. And weirdly, despite the fact that food reviewing or restaurant reviewing would sound amazing, that level of rich food every week, every night actually is not sustainable.
I did it a bit for a Deck of Secrets like years ago. That brand isn't going anymore, but yeah, I had to do so much food reviewing, and after a while you do start to just crave a salad,
Yeah. Yeah. And you never thought you'd be that person, but you're like literally, I just went away and came back from a weekend with a friend who is reviewing, and I got back home and it was like, there's nothing in the fridge because obviously I hadn't gone on grocery shopping or anything like that. But I was like, you know what, maybe now's the time to look at a juice cleanse. And I still couldn't bring myself to do it. Loved food too much.
Let's talk a little bit about your move from print to digital, although, the local project does some print, doesn't it? What are the key differences, do you think?
I did think about this question when it was posed, and I thought, weirdly, time. Time is the difference between the two of them. Print, I think, allows you the luxury of time. You will set aside time to sit with a magazine with a cup of coffee over a weekend or on holiday or in the afternoon, like before you go pick up the kids from school.
This is the consumption you mean of the product.
The consumption. So like magazine wise, I feel like you allow yourself a little bit more time to really appreciate what it is. And it has that tactile quality of turning pages and looking at beautiful images, because you're just not going to scroll through it the way that you would on an Instagram feed or whatnot. The big thing about digital, particularly with the local project, are our home tours, our YouTube channel. We have over 1 million subscribers to it. When I first took on this job, it was this thing of people either knew it or didn't know it. And those who did immediately talked about the YouTube channel. And literally, I went to a cafe, met a cafe owner last week, and he was like, we put the kids to sleep and then we literally sit in bed and just watch the home tours.
Wow. So that's what brings people into the brand.
Yeah. And it's this thing of like, the home tours are interesting because you do carve out time to look at them, but you also need to get people within about 30 seconds of what that home tour is. Whereas I think magazines does actually allow yourself a little bit more time to get into something. I think, again, it kind of links back to what I was saying before about like the 3 different titles and having digital and print. They work together. I've always been a believer. The moment I started my career, I remember people saying print media is dead. And I'm living proof that it isn't, because I've literally spaced my whole career in print. And it is still a big part of what we do. It's hilarious in that, like, Aidan's mentioned this to me before, but we'll suggest to an architect or an interior designer, would you prefer being in the print magazine or on digital? And 9 times out of 10, they'll say print. There's a level of prestige with print that I don't think is going to go away. I think with digital, that level of prestige is coming. I think there is going to be more demand for stronger curation on digital content. I think content is king is definitely obviously a thing, but I think the reason why design publications have withstood so much of the pressures of media, the media landscape at the moment, is that curation. And I think if you don't lend yourself to doing that on digital and reflect it holistically across your brand, you're going to run into trouble. And it's a real strength of the local projects. So
the local project is is it digital first? It started
It's
digitally,
digital
yeah.
first, yes.
So do you think that gives it a different way of curating things because of
It
that?
does, yeah, absolutely does. I think so much of what Aiden has built is really driven by visual content as well and visual storytelling. He saw the value of video and socials probably a lot earlier than traditional media platforms did. And it is rather strange because print girly at heart here. The local project started as a digital platform first. So it was an Instagram account, then moved into YouTube, then developed a website, now has a print publication. And to top it all off, we also print books. So strangely, we've gone from, very new form of media to probably the oldest form. And we do all of them and we value all of them. So I think the move to digital is obviously has built what this business has been and continues to be a really big push of what we're doing. And in terms of video content, we're looking to do more home tours wise. I think everyone knows that's what we're known for, but we do also do, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, an Art of the Maker series, which talks to specific makers. We've done some incredible people, Olive Gill-Hill, who's this incredible artist based in Perth. We talk through their process, and sometimes if we're lucky enough in preparation for a show or something like that. So we, as much as it's macro level, there's also a very micro level story that we're trying to tell as well. And I think all of these storytelling parts allow that.
So interesting, because I'd love to talk to you about working in the media now, because from what we hear in the Gold Group and, anecdotally ourselves, we hear a lot about shrinking budgets and circulation. Is that your experience, or it sounds like the local project is quite different? Is that the new wave of media, do you think?
I guess so. It's an interesting one. I mean, what I would say, and I'd start off just with bare numbers. When I was at Vogue Living, it was a team of 4 people.
Yeah, tiny.
I like to joke, and I'm still not entirely sure of the actual number, but I was the 48th person hired at the local project. We're probably pushing 60 now.
Yeah.
I think what Aiden's built is an incredible foundation for a company that actually values different ways of storytelling. Again, a really big reason why I came over. So we have an editorial team, we have a production team, we have a design team, partnership sales team, a social digital team who look after the website and all our social platforms, and obviously, your operations manager, HR, that kind of thing, finance. I've always worked with the bigger publishers in the country. So I've gone from News Corp and Bauer, ACP, to an independent company. So that has its advantages and disadvantages, as with everything, but that's probably been the biggest adjustment, because working in a smaller team with smaller resources, you're just a bit more agile. Coming into a bigger team, you still have to be, but there's a lot more required of you in terms of FaceTime with my staff and all that, which I love and I'm very lucky to do. In terms of budgets and things like that, I mean, we do use freelancers by virtue of the fact that we're just putting out so much content.
Yeah.
So it keeps us kind of agile in that frame. I have quite trusted freelancers. I think I do play favorites, I feel like. My other thing also is that we have a team of 7 editorial, and I would say the average age of a TLPer is late 20s to early 30s, mid 20s. They're at that phase of their career where they're wanting to establish themselves. So editorial wise, I'm really trying to champion my assistant editors in particular and our writers to continue to just develop more and write more. So I will always go to them first before I commission anything out to freelancers. And really, we do just use freelancers more to help out when things get really hectic and busy.
Or specialists, maybe?
Yeah, we do have a couple who are architectural writers, which does, and I've come from Vogue Living, which did have quite an interior design focus to something that's more exterior. We do obviously do both. So that does require a little bit more understanding and a bit more of a different skill set. It's a little bit more refined and finessed. The other thing about the home story is that I just don't want them to be the same thing over and over again and have that same kind of process of, well, here's the house, here's their brief, this is how they did the brief. You want something to be a little bit more interesting than that, because the story is already told with the images, really.
Yeah.
So I feel like the words really need to complement, as obvious as this sounds to two very seasoned journalists here, but you really want the words to work just as hard as the images do. So my big thing has always been, you need to tell a really interesting story. You need to find a hook. You need to find a way for me to be interested as to why this concrete house is built the way it is.
Yeah.
That's innately a writer thing. I don't know why I'm using the word innately a lot. Apologies. I think that is really the crux of storytelling and why people want to read the written word anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of freelancers, sorry, we absolutely do use them, and I think it's just the sheer volume of things that we're putting out. Our website is a beast. It does not.
It's a hungry beast, isn't it?
It's a hungry, hungry beast. And, you know, we have got quite a strong following on social media as well. So you do have to keep feeding the beast. But my big thing has always been, everything that goes up on the website needs to be of a certain quality, because otherwise.
Well, that's good, because I think traditionally, like back in the day, the quality was not always there with digital publications. It was just people sort of basically in their lounge room and saying, oh, I like houses. Let's do a blog about houses. And but this is different, because you've got like writers and sort of media professionals working on it. So is that part of it?
It is part of it. I think a big part of it also is Aidan, before he started a local project, was actually a chippy.
Oh, right.
So he, I think, has an innate understanding of what pursuing a life in creative design is. So I think he turns back to that every now and again when it comes to, as a guiding principle for whatever movement we make, whether it's in a video or a print story or digital story. I think it's an incredible thing to have that, to kind of be able to know that that's the thing, what people are actually interested in.
Yeah. So what's your tip to freelancers who want to get a pitch over the line?
This is such an obvious thing, but I cannot overstate this. Just read the magazine, read the website, just immerse yourself in what it is that the brand that you're particularly interested in contributing to does. I can't tell you the amount of emails that I randomly get going, oh, in your news section. It's like, we don't have a news section. Immediately, I'll just delete that email, because you clearly don't even engage with what we're doing. So I'm not interested in then, therefore, letting you contribute to it. As a loyal gatekeeper of what this thing is about, I just can't really allow that. It's just basic courtesy, really. We do accept pictures. We absolutely do. I think, from a homes perspective, we're always looking for something that's innovative, pushes the box. We are, and I think this is something that David, Ma, and we both came over late last year. We're trying to instill a bit more in our home selection, is some interiors as well, because as amazing as the $20 million homes in Byron Bay are, you do also want a bit of variety as to what people can take away, as beautiful, amazing as those things are. So I'm always really intrigued by the mix and puzzle of homes that we put together and the variety that's there.
So would it be like stories that you hadn't come across, or things that you couldn't potentially cover yourself, that sort of thing?
I mean, it can be. I think we're absolutely open to that. But I think also you do have to just immerse yourself with what it is that the principles of what we do. So it is going to be outstanding architecture. We celebrate Australian, New Zealand, American design. If you pitch me a European house, again, you haven't engaged with what we do, because we don't do Europe at the moment. I think we definitely do accept pitches, but I would say the lion's share of what I give to freelancers are things that we've been pitched directly.
You get an idea, or you see something that you want to do, and you find the right person for the story, rather than the other way around.
Rather than the other way around, absolutely. And I weirdly do pride myself in trying to match the right writer to the right story, because you get a better result. You just do. I do that internally with our team, so there is a bit of that as well. But I would say I'm not closed off to freelancers. Obviously haven't been there, but I think also if you're going to pitch a story that's suitable for the magazine, but also have a readily available list of articles that you've put together that will also demonstrate what you would contribute to the magazine as well, or contribute
a good portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just targeted, because, you know, if you're going to give me a whole bunch of things about lifestyle or like written for GQ, great, but we don't do that. So it does need to be tailored.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Mm.
So tell us a little bit about what you're working on now.
Yeah, so this is that strange timing that you both know very well, where you're about to put together a magazine and you're about to be on deadline, and then the latest one comes out on Friday. So the one that you've just put to bed is coming out on Friday. Issue 15 is a massive push for us. It actually has our new lifestyle section, which is something that the local project has not done before. So again, talks to profiles. So we've got profiles of architects and interior designers in there. Got a little bit of new product as well. Coffee table books, because everyone loves a coffee table book. Some travel. So we are entering that realm a bit, just in terms of complementing what it is that we already do, and everything we do in that lifestyle section will still have a very design focused lens. So that's the big thing. It's a 50-page section, which is kind of like,
that's huge.
I am also talking about a 350-page magazine. All three magazines together are about 600 pages. So essentially, I am working on a monthly title. Released 3 times a year.
Gosh, 300 pages reminds me of when I worked in the golden days of the Woman's Weekly, and we're up to that. Yeah.
It's a huge book.
Huge.
And which is incredible, but also says something about how much we value print as well. The other big release that we just had very recently was Habitats, a trio of hardcover books, second hardcover book series that we put together. These ones are city, coast and forest themed, so link directly to what the local project do. A lot of them also have videos, so home tours that you can actually watch as well. So that, I think, was released earlier this month. So that was fun. I had 2 of those deadlines pretty much back to back, 2 weeks in between the 2 of them. But, you know, low-key workaholic here. So no, those are the 2 really big, exciting things. I mentioned video. We are looking to do a new series, so I won't say too much more than that. But we are definitely looking to expand on what we offer. I'm really, really excited about how that's going to come out. So we've got a few in the bag. And then, but the thing is, like, I was even looking this morning at our digital copy and all the articles we're putting out. We have an amazing social media coordinator in Chloe, who manages this, and I don't know how she does it. We have content pretty much locked in. Like, if you want to get a story in now, the earliest it will run online is probably September. So we do really plan ahead in terms of what we're doing, and it's a pretty incredible thing to be a part of.
Wow.
Well, one thing we like to ask all our guests is for their tech tips. So tell us the digital tools that you use or that you'd be lost without.
Okay, so these are not groundbreaking whatsoever. Slack. For a team of, you know, nearly 60 odd, it is a bit of a lifesaver, because we actually split across 2 offices. We outgrew our first one. So we term it a boardwalk between the 2, but it does save us from having to walk out in the cold right now to talk to one another. But I will also say, and I think I'm a big proponent of this, there are some things that are going to be covered off in a 5-minute conversation rather than 20 Slack messages. So I'm a big push of that one. The other one, Trello, which again is an incredible tool when you're working across different platforms.
I love Trello. I use it.
We have, like I've probably just hinted, we have so much on and we do so much. You need a planning management tool to be able to do that. We use it purely because we just have so much on, and we work across so many different departments, and it's just a really easy way to just be able to navigate and know where everything is at. I've come from a land of Gmail, and now we use Outlook, and I will say I'm still getting used to it. It's not my favorite. I do miss the GChat days, but I guess Slack makes up for that. But yeah, I probably made it very clear I'm such a print girly that the fact that those are the 2 digital things I've recommended and they're not groundbreaking whatsoever is where we're at.
Both great though.
Oh, sometimes simple is best. we're almost at the end of our chat, but I mean, we could chat to you all day, VJ. What do you think that if the lifestyle and interior thing is such a sought after niche, I mean, people really love it. Do you think there's something that they should know about it or that's important to know about getting into that sort of writing?
There are some people who've chosen a path where they'll do serious study. I know few people in the industry who have got architecture degrees or study interior design. I most definitely am not that person. I did a Bachelor of Arts, Media Communications, did an honours degree, wrote about photography and memory in my thesis. So I'm completely of a different ilk. I think very much it's about how much you love it and the passion for it, and you will immerse yourself in it. I do not walk around thinking that I know every single architect in the world, and nor do I pretend to. It comes back to storytelling and how much you want to focus on what a particular individual brings to a thing. I have been asked this question before and by fledgling writers and about how you do it. So much of it is just doing it. So much of it is just putting your hand up and showing that initiative and going, hey, I'm really keen. You know, if you're at that younger stage, if you're a uni student, if you're at that younger stage, fledgling kind of stage of your career, just put together something and ask if for feedback, if at all possible. If you're a little bit more seasoned and you're looking to break into it, again, it's research and just knowing there are so many amazing interior titles in this country. And I've been very fortunate to work across most of them. You'll be able to find a story that you're going to be attracted to, that you'll want to say and you'll want to put together. And whether that's a home in, the local project or Vogue Living, House and Garden, Home Beautiful, Belle, whatever, there will be someone who will want to take it on board. So that would be my biggest tip, in that just finding the right one and giving it your all. And then, practice does make perfect. I started my career as a sub. I did not, and I still love subbing. Aiden called me the comma queen the other day, which I just don't know what to make of. But anyway,
I'd take it and be proud, Virginia.
I have. I've owned it. So no, I am still that stickler for grammar and always will be. And I wouldn't say I fell into writing, but innately what is a good way of writing and what isn't, and what. Bring it back to you being a reader as well. Like, what do you want to read about?
Oh my goodness. This has been such a great chat, Virginia. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And we'll put a link to the show notes to the local project so people can zip over there and sign up to that and get involved. Yeah,
thank you. I actually haven't looked at your YouTube channel. I only just get the newsletter. So now I get to dive into that afterwards.
You will lose hours of your life to it.
I'm sure I will.
Right now. Yeah. But I'll be very grateful for it. Thank you again.
It's going to be dangerous.
It is a dangerous thing. I did feel for this cafe owner who's like literally put the newborn to bed, and I'm like, oh wow, okay, you're delirious when you're watching our YouTube videos.
Yeah, fair enough. So thank you. We'll have all the show notes in the podcast app that you're listening to, and we'll have details on how to connect with Virginia and also hear all about the summit.
So thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks again to our wonderful sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group, or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.